There we go. Hello, everybody. Thank you so very much for clicking on. Always appreciated. It's Eyes Open for a Monday, the 25th day of March, nearing the end of March, and March Madness in full swing, NCAA basketball wise. And Chris is going to be joining us here shortly. We got some things to talk about, but I happen to I watch a lot of things and listen to a lot of things, so you don't have to. And I listened to Don Lemon's interview with Elon Musk, and something kind of jumped out to me at me. I've been saying this for a long time that neither Trump nor Biden is going to be president. That it's all a big distraction. All of this stuff. And after what happened today, court wise, um, we'll get into that. But first, here's a little bit of what Elon Musk said during his interview with Don Lemon regarding Donald Trump and endorsing a candidate.
My question to you leading into this is about MAGA. You, and speaking of MAGA, you recently met with Donald Trump in Florida. What did you guys talk about?
I was at a dinner. I was not done. I was at a breakfast at a friend's place, and Donald Trump came by. That's it.
So you didn't go there to meet him?
No, I went to a friend of mine's house, and it said Donald Trump's coming by for breakfast.
Watch him get embarrassed. Watch his face turn red, as I think he's lying. And if you watch his eye movements, but anyway,
First is that, just so you know, like, okay, fine.
What did you discuss?
Let's just say
okay. No, I'll talk about that later.
he did most of the talking.
What did you say?
The normal things he says. There was nothing particularly groundbreaking or new, but he, President Trump likes to talk, and so he talked. I don't recall him saying anything that he hasn't said publicly, and that was it. It was just a breakfast.
Did he ask you for money?
He didn't.
Did he ask you for a donation?
No,
He didn't.
No.
You said you're not going to donate to any candidate.
that's correct.
Why not?
Ah,
I'm always nice. Really nice. Not bitchy nice.
all right, here we go. Sorry.
I think while I'll voice my opinion, I think I don't want to put a thumb on the scale monetarily that is, significant.
Are you going to loan him money to help pay his bills?
No,
Not at all. Pay his legal bills.
I'm not paying his legal bills in any way, shape, or form.
And he did not ask you for money.
And he did not ask me for money.
Are you going to? So you're not going to endorse a candidate?
I may, in the final stretch, endorse a candidate, but I don't know yet. I want to make a considered decision before the election, and if I do decide to endorse a candidate, then I will explain exactly why.
Are you leaning towards anyone?
No.
You're not leaning towards anyone. Because you've been.
I'm leaning away from Biden.
You're leaning.
I've made no secret of that.
Are you concerned about losing your security clearance if Biden is reelected? Does that have anything to do with it?
No.
You are leaning away from Biden, but you're not going to endorse anyone. It seems like an endorsement of President Trump because there are only two people who are running now. Nikki Haley is out.
I mean, a lot could
Biden's
happen
opponent is out.
between now and the election, so we'll see who, in the final analysis, are the choices for president.
There we go. One of the richest dudes in the world, basically saying what I've been telling everybody for a long time now. And it was nonchalant. It wasn't like he had to put a lot of thought into it. He said, "We'll see. We'll see who the two candidates finally are. There's a long time between now and November." So, with that being said, again, say hello to everybody. Thank you for clicking on. And hi, Nancy. Thank you for being here. Happy Monday to you as well. And as soon as Chris gets here, we will get him up here and get rolling along with things. In the meantime, let's go ahead and kick off. Let's see. All right, let's go ahead and kick off the Twitter bookmarks, the X marks. Sorry, after having Elon on there. Sean Diddy Combs has fled the United States on his Gulfstream private jet. This came in 52 minutes ago. In case you do not know, this has been the ongoing story of the day. I personally was able to get his private jet number, N19C96, N1969C. It's registered under Love Air LLC. It is a Gulfstream. Actually, hang on here for a second. Let me pull it up, and I'll show you just what the plane looks like, and hopefully it'll come up. There we go. This is basically the plane. The plane has landed in the plane took off from Van Nuys, as you can see. Plane took off, circled LA, then let's watch the whole thing again. It's a very interesting path. And again, in case you do not know, Sean Puffy Combs, his mansions in Los Angeles, in New York, and in Miami were all raided today by various local, state, and federal officers, including Homeland Security and FBI. Here's the flight path. Get rid of this potential copyright hit. Flew down and did not fly over Miami, so they knew already that they had Miami ongoing as well. The plane flew then to Barbados, I think is how it's pronounced. Let me pull that up here. Hang with me just for a second, and we will have it up on the map and show you exactly where Puff Daddy, P. Diddy, Sean Combs is right now. Barbuda is the name of it. I think I said Barbudo, and it's Barbuda. And we are looking into the Caribbean, and right here you will find Antigua and Barbuda. That is again where Sean Puffy Combs is currently located. His plane is there and has not left there. And we are among tens of thousands that were tracking that flight this afternoon. Let me see. Let me drop the link here real quick. I forgot to hit send on the link. My apologies. There's the link. And while I'm over here, hi, Pink Flamingo. Thank you for joining. Peace, love, and sunshine. Thank you as well. And we're just kind of getting things started here. We'll get Chris up in just a moment. And again, let's get back to the story here. American rapper Diddy has reportedly left the United States on his private jet, a Gulfstream which took off earlier today from Van Nuys Airport. And here's the rest of the story. It took off shortly before the raid on his home. So somehow he must have got word, or they took some time breaking the gate down. Maybe he made his way out the back. Private jet had been tracked to the Caribbean islands after raids on Diddy's residence in Los Angeles and Miami, also in New York City, or in New York State. Flight tracking data indicates that the jet has appeared to land on Antigua in the Caribbean. It's currently unknown whether Diddy's actually on the plane or not, which is a good point to remember. And so that is what is that's what's ongoing at the moment. And the reasons why this is all happening, and why this all started shortly after noon today. Here we have a look at the situation on the ground from Star Island. Homeland Security again raiding P. Diddy's house in hang on, there we go. Raiding P. Diddy's house in both. Why does this keep jumping back? Here we go. This is a look from in front of the Miami mansion. Again, Miami, New York, and LA. Incredible mansions, and it's going to take a while for them to go through all of the rooms, let alone everything that's potentially in every room. And I thought I had pulled it up, but maybe I didn't. Let me see. No, is it? Okay, I don't have it. All right. But it was back on February. Because I pulled it out of the bookmarks, but I guess I didn't get it opened up. We had back February 27th, I believe it was when I first mentioned that somebody had mentioned there was information, a lawsuit had been filed, and it had alleged that P. Diddy had been doing some things, and evidently today is the day that it all kind of caught up to him. Again, he appears to be on the run, and this is on a federal sex trafficking probe, which includes moving people from state to state and possibly outside of the country, which would get into international. Homeland Security, along with federal agents, other law enforcement, conducting raids at the homes. And here we got them breaking the gate down in Miami, or I'm sorry, in LA, and then extracting people from the residence. There we go. And this is all helicopter footage. So it was a pretty serious breach getting into both of those, both of the locations they've shown. They don't have any footage of New York yet. And I'm not sure whether that was a mansion or an apartment. So there we go. That's pretty much what's been occupying things for the past day. What was this? Oh, yes. We got to get to that. All right. All right. First of all, let me hop back over here and see if Chris is here. And he is. Hi, Chris. How are you?
Hey Barry, how are you doing?
I'm hanging in there, man. You all right?
Yep. How's everyone in the audience?
We'll find out here. Let us know how you're doing in the audience. Let us know how you're doing in the chat. Thank you all for watching. Always appreciated. And whether you're watching here live or at your convenience, thank you for your time. Chris, did you get the link I sent you earlier about all this with P. Diddy?
Yeah, I did not get the link, but I kind of saw it, right? And
yeah.
Apparently they hit two of his locations. Hit two locations. I heard one was in Florida. The other one was in L.A.
Right.
So, and then we heard about the plane. And like you said, you don't know if anyone was even on that.
Yeah. So
I mean, the whole thing.
And by the way, we don't know if anybody's on it. However, there is not an extradition agreement with the United States for Barbuda.
Well, then that's probably where he is.
Yeah.
Right? Because I was ready to bring that up. I'm like, you better go somewhere where there's no extradition.
That's what he did.
Well, then
somebody told him.
Yeah, someone tipped him off.
And after this happened, I started digging around all over the place on the internet to see what I could find. And there are some Epstein ties. There are some ties between P. Diddy and Epstein. This guy, what are you thinking, Chris?
Listen, they all do dirt, okay? All of them. And it's that what I'm hearing is not surprising at all. A lot of those elites do that stuff, right?
Yeah. And there's stuff that's come out that Justin Bieber lived with him for a while. Usher lived with him for a while. This guy that was his producer allegedly has hours of video on his phone of things that he's got video evidence, because according to this producer, his name's Jones, according to this producer, Diddy would get messed up and take this guy's phone thinking he had his own phone, and he was recording all these illegal activities, and he was recording it on this guy's phone. So this guy's got allegedly hours upon hours of compromising people in compromising situations in high power. Let's just put it that way. So,
like I told you, man, like none of this stuff even shocks me. It really doesn't.
Yeah. And is this just the latest in the distractions?
It is, but you know what?
Keep us from thinking about what could be coming.
It is, but you know what? It's also some real stuff to let you know, hey, look, these are some scumbags out here. If you're really paying attention to this, people are some scumbags.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's just my opinion. And
it sure seems like a lot of the rich people aren't happy with just being rich. They also want to be scumbags.
Yeah, I mean, they're just, rich. I don't know what it is. I mean, you have the money, but I guess the money's not enough. You have to do, something a lot,
Yeah.
So something different. Well, the money's not enough, so we're gonna do this because I want to be, what's the word? There's a word I'm trying to think of that deals with eccentric, right? Would be eccentric.
Okay.
Right. When in fact you're just weird.
uh, it's it's so odd that I don't know. Maybe it's just me because I'm a retired minister. Because I'm a Christian. I believe in God, and I believe in actual Jesus, not Republican Jesus. And maybe it's just me, but it seems like there's a lot of attempts at normalizing perversions.
But that's here in this country. Do you see what Putin is doing with the whole alphabet? Um, if you're part of that community, the alternative lifestyles community, he pretty much he put
See,
a he put something out like it's illegal in Russia to do that, and he's calling them terrorists.
Okay. I'm far from that. I believe when you're an adult, you do what you want, and as long as you're not, hurting anybody, okay, do what you want. I don't care. It's when kids are involved.
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
when people under 18 are involved that I get the no. This. And that's what happened. What happened was the people that like myself that are considered possibly more progressive in their ideas than where you're currently at. And I felt like if two people love each other and they want to be together, and they want to be miserable, allow them to get married, because that's what I found marriage to be pretty much. Anyway, and I'm okay with that. All right, but then it gets to where it opened it unintentionally opened a lid on a Pandora's box that has allowed boundaries to be pushed. And maybe it's just because of the demographic I'm in. I don't think so. I think a lot of Americans feel the same way, that we're not there's a whole bunch of us that don't want to rush either to the far left or to the far right. Maybe I don't know. It's just it's frustrating because I can see what's coming at us, and as U.S. citizens, we ought to be banding together instead of going off the rails on the crazy train.
Yeah, well, that's where our country's going, the crazy train. And it's like I said, it's gonna crash eventually. It really is, because like this, I don't think this country can sustain this, all this craziness going on. I really don't. You just have too much of what we call chaos to create the storm. You see what I'm saying? It really is.
I almost titled tonight's episode "Chaos."
Oh, really?
Because of like you just said, there's so much going on, and it's like news media is covering the things that perhaps aren't the most important, and that concerns me a lot, because the most valuable thing we can have is information,
right,
when we're facing uncertainty. So all right, let's go into Haiti here real quick, since we're already in the Caribbean with P. Diddy. What's the latest you're hearing?
It's pretty much still the same situation. They haven't really formed the transitional council. I heard one of the ladies that was supposed to be on the council stepped down because of the threats that she was getting. So I think like Cherizier, and he's a serious guy, and I was talking to one of my buddies tonight, and he's a former command sergeant major out of special forces, and he and I are like really, really good friends. And he was basically telling me,
Yeah.
he was like, the way that I see things is not the way the general public would be able to see what you see. And he was basically saying, they pretty much on the information operation, the IO campaign, information operation campaign, they pretty much damaged this guy. Um, they call him, barbecue. If someone said, Jimmy Cherizier, no one would know him. But if you say barbecue or the cannibal, everybody would know. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Everybody would know who he is. But my whole thing is the way they're portraying these gangs, but they're really militias. Okay. I mean, yeah, they're out there doing dirt, but I mean, I get it. I do get it. I don't agree with it necessarily, but I get it because you're doing stuff to make money. Got it. But what he's doing when he united these gangs together was for a common interest, a common goal, and that was to rid Haiti of the government because it's totally messed up. Okay, and he's pretty much saying he doesn't want any more international community involvement in Haiti. He's really looking for the right of self determination. Okay, self resilience, that like that, but then also to get rid of the oligarchs in Haiti, and that's what we call like the social construct or the social construct of Haiti, where you have the oligarchs. They're only maybe like 5%, but they control, like 85 to 90% of what's going on in Haiti. And they're not even like real, like they're not even African descendants. They come from the Levant. The Levant is like that Syria and Lebanon. You see, so they don't really have that African blood. They're not part of that transatlantic slave trade, and they're not part of the group that really fought for their freedom. You see, so and they're controlling things, and he's like, no, wrong, time for them to go. You see, but then also for those international security forces that are trying to come in to get rid of the gangs, and so they can have the international community, and if they were ever to succeed, those security forces were coming. If they ever were to succeed, then of course the international community is going to can have their real input into what goes on. But if Cherizier actually wins, and Guy Philippe, if those two take the reins, then the United States and those other countries like Canada and France and other people from the international community, they're going to lose their say. You see, which I think he wants, because he's looking for the right of self determination. For
how different is what they're doing in Haiti than what Hamas was trying to do in Gaza?
They're kind of like the same, right? They really are. There's not a whole lot of difference. All right, but I mean, they're both kind of like the same. Well, they're both organized gangs. They're organized gangs. Okay, at first Hamas was an armed non-state actor, right? Until they got elected into they became the elected government of Gaza. Okay, so
right before they outlawed elections.
right, and it's really no different than what the Taliban is doing. You see,
Yeah.
You know, it's like once we
Yeah.
left, what they do? They get all their people together
They took over.
and took it over. You see, and you see now who's in charge. The Taliban's in charge. It's really the same thing, but people don't see it that way. They just say, "Oh, it's some armed gangs, these some criminals." No, these they're all pretty much the same thing. Armed non-state actors. These are militias. You know, armed organized gangs. That's what they are, and they have one like Cherizier has one objective. Well, he's got three objectives, but it's an insurgency. That's what it really is. It's a revolution. So they
It's
can
in their minds, on their side, it's about independence and self-determination
right freedom, independence, and self-determination, and you can take that all the way back to
and
1791,
freedom.
right
Yeah.
when the revolution, when the Haitian Revolution started, until they got their independence, January 1st, 1804. You see, and that's what what once they got rid of the French and the slave masters, they could determine what went on in their country. And that's, I think, what Cherizier is really saying now. I want these people out, but I can't do that until I get rid of the government of Haiti, which he overthrew, right? Then to get rid of the oligarchs or the elites, but then also prevent the those Kenyan security forces from coming in. You see? So yeah, am I for this guy? 110%. And I'm neutral.
And it's not because you're for a criminal. It's because you're for the people of Haiti, and you see him as
See,
the best way for Haiti to have freedom, self-determination, and independence. Is that
right.
correct?
So exactly. So it doesn't necessarily mean that I see him as I mean, he could be one of the leaders. It is very possible. I see Guy Philippe as a leader, possibly the president of Haiti. But maybe Cherizier might end up being like the chief of police, or might the maybe he had the armed forces or whatever. But he's going to have a position of leadership in that country. You see, so
Yeah.
that I mean, but for what he's doing, it's in my opinion, it's in the best interest for Haiti to regain their freedom back. You see, a lot of these countries have had their foot up on Haiti's neck for like the longest time. All right. And I with the right leadership in Haiti, the Haiti could be on par with any one of these countries, any one of the Caribbean countries, easily. Because Haiti's a very beautiful, I mean, the island of Hispaniola, it's a very beautiful place. It really is. You know,
Mhm.
if they got their stuff together, Haiti is going to be on par with the Dominican Republic and all the rest of the islands in the Caribbean. Easy,
We're
easy.
not going to let that happen, though. The United States is not going to let that happen.
Well, and see, that's the right of self determination. Someone proves that. When you dibble and dabble in someone else's affairs, and you sit there and say, "Well, we have this money and we have this aid. If you don't cooperate with us, we'll pull it." You see, which the United States always does. They
Right.
that's what they do. But um, don't forget,
Always the carrot and the stick.
yep,
Always. But yeah.
but don't forget, these guys might have other options, right? They've got if the United
Yes.
States keeps playing that, then they just might go, well, let me talk to Russia and see what Russia
Okay.
has to offer, more so than the United States. And then the United States is just out for just being stupid. You see? So
Hmm.
that's the way I
I
look at it.
do.
But like I said, I like
Let me see if
uh,
I get the.
so here, the big thing is, the United States government and the international community and Henri didn't want to talk to them. Okay, didn't know, they didn't want to engage them. it was Barry. It's the most ridiculous. And
Right.
I'm telling the audience this too. It was the most ridiculous thing, right? You had all these. You had like congressional hearings, and you had members of civil society and the police. The Haitian police coming in. You had our military talking about Haiti and all that sort of stuff. But I'm like, you left out the most important people there: the power brokers, the community leaders, which are nothing more than the gang leaders. If
The
they control,
Haitians, the voices
right?
of Haiti.
Right. I mean, but here's the thing: if they control 80%, 80 or 90% of Port-au-Prince, okay, they control the infrastructure. So what's that mean? That means they're actually the de facto government. So how
Yeah.
are you going to sit there and say, and they had all the guns and the manpower, and you don't want to talk to them? They have the power to stabilize or destabilize Port-au-Prince, right? They have that
Mhm.
power, and you didn't want to engage with them. Well, you didn't want to talk to them, but guess what? Now they're going to be talking to you. You see, they're talking to the United States. They're talking to an international community, right? And of course the former government of Haiti, and they're saying, well, you didn't want to talk to us, before. Well, we're going to talk to you, and our language is violence, and we're going to take this thing over. You see, that's how
Yeah.
it goes. That's just how it goes.
You mentioned Russia, so we'll transition. In a statement today by Russian President Vladimir Putin, he admitted that Friday's terrorist attack against the Crocus Concert Hall in Moscow was committed by, quote, radical Islamists, end quote. But there are still questions about who may have ordered the attack, which he claims is linked to Ukraine.
Right, and he's 110% correct. All right, that was not
You think
ISIS. That was
you
not
think
an
it-
ISIS K attack. That definitely was not. And I don't know if your audience even remembers what I told them and about when an Islamic attack occurs, they're not expected to come back. Okay, so you will see them dressed all in black because in Islam, when you conduct an operation like that, it's called a murder or martyrdom operation. It means you giving yourself to Allah is the greatest gift that you can do. Okay, so when they conduct an operation like that, they're not expecting to come back. And those guys were out there in camouflage coats. I was like, wrong. Automatically, I'm like, all right, Ukraine's behind this one. I can tell you that right now. Just
Interesting.
just from that's just what we call behavioral profiling. Okay.
Okay.
And see, I know this because, of course, I used to teach it, so I know exactly, what like groups like ISIS and Q, and even the Taliban would do when it comes to something like that attack. So, and even here in the United States, when there's that shooting in San Bernardino, California, the shooters were all dressed all in black. And I was like, yep, that's correct. So there's a baseline for what these terrorists these terrorists do when it comes to an attack. You see,
Okay.
that's
I
what
thought
really is.
I thought it might be Russian rebels, or I thought it might be a false flag Russia attacking itself.
Okay, yeah, there's two things that I thought. I said, okay, first it's Ukraine. Okay, the other one was France. Remember? Okay, so I don't know if your audience remembers how we talked about those Islamic groups in France or in Africa, in those African countries like Mali, and how the Wagner group came in and pretty much kicked France out.
Kick France out.
Right, and the same thing happened in Burkina Faso and a couple other countries in Niger, and that's really messing with France's money. Now I remember Macron came out and said, "Well, we're gonna get you back for messing with our interests." Those interests were those countries in Africa.
Mm-hmm.
See? So it's either
and more specific, the gold and the uranium
right
in those countries.
Exactly. Right. It had to deal with the natural resources. So once he said that, he's like, "Yeah, we're gonna get you back for messing with our interest abroad. I was like, yeah, he's talking about Africa. So if they did that, then guess what? There's going to be something coming back to them. You see? So you remember they were talking about those nukes? The how France is like, yeah, we're getting our nukes ready, and yeah, we're going to do X, Y, and Z. What they did,
Yeah.
they did it on the asymmetrical side. You see?
Okay, I don't know if you remember or not, but a couple of weeks back, I had an episode, and I read verbatim the warning that the U.S. Embassy in Moscow put out to any U.S. citizens over there to avoid concert venues and large gatherings because of a terrorist attack.
Right. So obviously they knew something was coming. I mean, they obviously knew an attack was coming, and they even told Russia, right? Well, obviously Russia wasn't able.
We told Russia.
Right, and I don't think Russia was able to prevent the attack. But even with that, like I said, my two choices here be Ukraine or France. And once Macron sat there and said, "Yeah, well, we're going to do something because of our interest," he didn't say where, but our interest were in Africa, and Russia came in and kicked the French out. So there's nothing else that he could possibly be talking about, and that's why I think, like I said, it's either Ukraine or France that launched the attack against Russia. So,
okay, from the geopolitical side, I looked at it as soon as it happened. Like I said, my first thought was this is Russian separatists, revolutionaries within Russia, or this is Russia attacking itself to justify a mass mobilization of troops, which they're anticipated to do to prepare to go to war against NATO. And then ISIS came out like 2 hours later and said ISIS is responsible. Everybody went, no, ISIS isn't. They started showing footage that they were. And I told a friend, if ISIS is responsible, then we will see attacks in Europe and eventually America as part of this. If it's actually ISIS.
wow.
And Paris, France is currently under their highest level of alert for terrorism because of ISIS threats they've detected.
Yeah. I'm seeing a little bit different. That's all. So
yeah, that's why we do this. That's why we do this, is because we both have different perspectives of all of this, and we give people things to think about. So
yeah, for sure.
Okay, I found this really interesting. This is only 30 seconds long here. I don't think it has any music. Let's give this a listen.
There are two ways in which people are controlled. First of all, frighten people, and secondly, demoralize them. An educated, healthy, and confident nation is harder to govern. And I think there's an element in the thinking of some people. We don't want people to be educated, healthy, and confident because they will get out of control. The top 1% of the world's population own 80% of the world's wealth. It's incredible that people put up with it, but they're poor, they're demoralized, they're frightened, and therefore they think perhaps the safest thing to do is take orders and hope for the best.
What do you think of that, Chris?
I think it's true. That the way he said it happens to be the truth, right?
I think the way he said it happens to be the truth too, and we've talked a lot about how the dumbing down of America. Lack of critical thinking.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of which, House Republican Anna Paulina Luna claims that other House Republicans are part of a plot to cripple House Republicans. I said this about a month ago, I think, on here. Do not be surprised if the Republicans are the ones that take Trump and the other Republicans that are behind Trump down. And they have a plan to do that, and that includes this the guy that's going to the next guy that's going to leave. The guy from Colorado already left, so they're down to two vote majority. The guy that's going to leave is going to leave on April 19th, because after April 19th, the state he lives in, if a vacancy occurs after April 19th, then it can't be filled until November, the general election. So he's taking, he himself is taking the Republican majority away from the Republican House of Representatives. And he's doing it deliberately. Otherwise, he'd go ahead and retire now, because that's not going to impact his pension in any way, shape, or form. Florida bans social media accounts for kid under 14, and the law is expected to be challenged in court. What do you think about that?
You know, Bear, you broke up, so I actually wasn't able to hear you completely.
Okay. Florida is now banning a social media account. So Florida has banned all social media accounts for kids under 14.
Yeah, that sounds about right. And honestly, I really don't like social media anyway.
Right.
I really don't.
With
really
the exception of when we're on here.
Yeah, other than that, yeah, I'm not a big fan.
Okay. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has canceled a diplomatic delegation's visit to Washington, D.C. to protest a United Nations vote calling for a ceasefire in Gaza. For the first time today, for the first time, the United States did not vote. Instead of voting in favor of Israel, however the resolution was drawn up, this time they didn't vote. And so the resolution passed, calling for a ceasefire in Gaza and an immediate hostage exchange. And Netanyahu canceled a diplomatic delegation that was coming to Washington because of it. Is Israel like pot committed, as they say if you're a poker player? Are you so far into this that you got to take it all the way? Is that where Israel's at, Chris?
Oh, they're definitely going to take it all the way. Once they go, that's it. There's no pumping the brakes. It's full throttle.
Once they cross, we said this months ago. Once they cross once they cross into the Gazan territory, they're not going to stop. And
nope. That's exactly what we said.
I know. Little tiny Marco Rubio was on John Carl on Fox, and Rubio said he wants to be Trump's vice president, and said, at the end of the day, I think the view is that the president doesn't even deserve to have a vice president. Is what
he said he said he wanted to be whose vice president?
Rubio said he wants to be Trump's vice president.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Good.
Yeah. And little tiny Marco Rubio is not my name for him. That's what Donald Trump calls him. Now, dude, no kind of. I mean, what a. Do you not have any kind of inside? Do you not have anything inside? Are you just a freaking Trump ass sucking gas bag? You little tiny senator. I'm sorry.
Hey.
Remember, he's the only person. He's the only person.
He's a politician.
He's the only person I've ever trolled. I've never I've never trolled anybody other than him on Twitter. Well,
Yeah,
I
you're
mean, as far as
expecting too much.
extended.
He's a politician.
Emails obtained via the Freedom of Information Act show Elon Musk's Twitter X was selling user data for government surveillance at the exact same time it was fighting government surveillance in court.
Like I said, man, it's a joke.
Playing both sides
It's
against the
places.
middle.
Yep.
This is the biggest waffler. This is the biggest waffler in the world. Lindsey Graham, August 7th, he said, "I've been consistent. States should decide the issue of abortion." September 20th, he said, "This is not a states' rights issue." And I've got him saying it. We're screwed, Chris. We're screwed.
Yeah. Pretty much.
Pretty much. Okay. One of our commanders is stepping down, and well, let's just Admiral Aquilino, and here's his final remarks before leaving. And this will just emphasize, at least in my opinion, it does. This will emphasize the amount of screwedness we actually are.
I've described the security environment as the most dangerous I've seen in 40 years in uniform. And a big portion of that are the cooperation, number one, between the PRC and Russia. Again, in President Xi's words, a relationship that has not been seen in 100 years. And we should listen to him when he speaks. They tell us what they're thinking about. So that cooperation from those two authoritarian nations puts us in a different security environment. So I'm very concerned about that. It's amplified with regard to the DPRK supporting Russian in the form of ballistic missiles and other munitions and capabilities. My sense is this is a way to combat the broadened United States alliances, partnerships with our like-minded allies and partners. This is their counter. But I articulated, we're almost back to the axis of evil when you plug in Iran to this problem set. That set of cooperation is concerning, and it should be concerning to the whole globe. I've described the security environment as...
Okay, so he's basically this guy, and for those, and I'm sure none of the viewers know because we don't talk about this, but Chris writes a lot of papers. He puts out formal opinions on things. And this is what this admiral has done in his farewell remarks. He's basically outlined how dangerous the environment currently is because specifically North Korea, the DPKR, North Korea, Iran, and Russian alliance, along with the most cooperation between Russia and China in 100 years. What's that tell you?
No, we're screwed. I mean, but Barry, listen, like he's telling the audience what we've been telling the audience for like what the past 2-3 years.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
He's saying the same thing we've been talking about.
Yeah. It just.
So
I think it doesn't to us, but I think to the viewers it might make it more real when they're hearing other people say these things. You know, like at the start. You see, at the start, I said, for months I've been saying that neither Trump nor Biden is going to be president. I played a little bit of Elon Musk's interview with Don Lemon, and Musk very casually at the end, takes a drink of water and says, "Hey, we'll see who's actually running when we get closer to November." So
yeah, right.
Yeah,
right, and otherwise you'd have been like, "Hey, I'm going with 110%."
Absolutely. Okay, I want to show this. just to give everybody a visual of what $1 billion is like, okay? Because we're hearing billionaires, and this to me is a very compelling vision of greed. It starts out with $100 bill, and then how tall a stack of $10,000 is made up of only $100 bills, and then it continues. But we're not going to play the music because I'll get a copyright. So there's $1 million, and there's 10 million, and here's 100 million compared to a regular dude, comes up to about his waist. And that's $1 billion. And that's 10 billion.
Wow. Wow.
100 billion. Semi truck. And $1 trillion. Now, the United States is currently.
I wouldn't need $1 trillion.
Do what?
I wouldn't need $1 trillion.
What'd you say, Chris? No, we don't know.
I said I would not need $1 trillion.
No. I'm okay just getting by paying my rent. And I'm hoping to somehow be able to do that. Because the idea of wealth now is, I think wealth is going to become an incredible anchor once, unless they destroy us in totality.
Yeah,
there are a lot of people that are not wealthy, that are not stupid either, and if they're if forced to rise up, we're going to eat the wealthy. We're going to eat you first. You know, is the motto that's going to be coming out of, not of me, but out of, you know what I'm saying? I wanted to stop it here at $1 trillion because the United States is currently $13 trillion in debt.
Can you believe? Listen, is there $13 trillion in debt? You know, the $13 trillion in debt, and they're asking people, you know, this country is so jacked up. You know.
Yeah, yeah.
Funny.
And the more we break it down, I'm hoping the more people see how jacked up it really is. And it's not a black and white thing. It's not about any race. It's not about LGBTQs. It's about the fact that they've got to have division so that we're not focused on what's really happening. And what's really happening is, in my opinion anyway, what's really going on is this New World Order thing. I know I'm going to get called a conspiracy theorist for us. In 6 years, we'll find out. Okay. If they're wanting this to happen by 2030, they got to start killing a bunch of people now. There are 9 billion of us. They want to get rid of 8 billion of us. They got to start killing a bunch of us now. They want a one world government, one world cashless currency. Hey, we're a lot closer to cashless currency than people might imagine. And there are probably people, I mean, I carry cash. I like to have some cash on me just in case. But most of my transactions are done without cash. So that's not a big step.
Yeah.
The step comes when you get that. You have to get that microchip implanted in your wrist or in the back of your hand or in your head in order to make transactions. And I don't think we're too far from that, Chris.
Yeah, we're not that far
from that. Yeah. Don Corleone. The king of debt. And that's not those aren't my words. This is what he said in a CBS interview.
Hillary Clinton called you the king of debt.
Well, no, she didn't call me. I call myself the king of debt. I'm the king of debt. I'm great with debt. Nobody knows debt better than me. I've made a fortune by using debt. And if things don't work out, I renegotiate the debt. I mean, that's a smart thing, not a stupid thing. And I made a
How do you
fortune.
renegotiate the debt?
Because you go back and you say, hey, guess what? The economy just crashed. I'm going to give you back half.
Hillary Clinton called you the king.
Does that sound like a smart thing or sound like a thug thing? Hey, yeah, you loan me money, I'm
Sound
going
like
to give
a
you
thug
back
thing.
half. Sound like, yeah. Okay, the guy also cheats at golf.
Teach at golf.
He just and he cheats at golf, and the only reason I bring that up is because we got a tweet coming here. He won his club championship yesterday, beat everybody in the club, and won the senior championship both. He won 2 championships yesterday. He's a golf champion. Hold on a second. Let me find it, and then we'll get back into it. I should have had it. Here we go. This is here he tweeted this yesterday, Chris. It's my great honor to be at Trump International Golf Club in West Palm Beach tonight, awards night, receive the club championship trophy and the senior club championship trophy. I won both. A large and golfing talented membership, a great and difficult course, made the play very exciting. Qualifying match play was amazing. A large and distinguished group will be there tonight. Very exciting. Thank you. Okay. The day before, he's supposed to be in court to start his first criminal trial, the first time a president of the United States has ever had a criminal trial. And the day before, he's supposed to come up with $500 million. He's playing golf and winning championships. And this was, I found this because Joe Biden tweeted, "Congratulations, Donald, quite the accomplishment."
Right.
Oh, yeah. Okay, let's just go backwards here. Russia is a police state. We can pretty much assume that. And here we see one of the people, or 2 of the people actually, that were alleged to have carried out the attacks. One guy, they sawed his ear off with a knife and then made him eat it. They attached a battery to one guy's testicles to make him confess. There's some stuff on social media, and one of the guys, I don't know if I've got it or not, but one of the guys was unconscious during the entire hearing. They still had the plastic bag around his throat where they were choking him. We'll save Marjorie Taylor Greene. No, actually, let's talk about Marge here real quick, because chaos is one of the themes. First of all, this is an interview she did with Leslie Stahl.
We looked up some words that have been said about you.
Okay.
Crazy, Q clown, Looney Tune, unhinged, moron.
I've got a few more. Osama bin Karen, a dipstick, a dingbat, a dolt, a dullard, a dimwit, a doofus, a dummy, dumbass.
The doofus thing I find objectionable.
I'm only a third of the way through the D's.
Looks like the troll in my Twitter
A
feed.
good argument for misogyny. Nazi wine mom, Nazi cave woman, just Nazi.
So I don't let name calling bother me or offend me. I just don't.
Butterbrain. This one's from someone across the pond. A daft wanker. That's British for stupid. Lives on a diet of glue sticks. A lower level life form.
I don't really care.
Can I speak to the manager Barbie, meth Barbie, Nazi Barbie, Again, just Nazi. Oh.
Here's some more.
Okay.
A little humor there. Now, the reason for the humor, Marjorie Taylor Greene has filed a motion in Congress to have the Speaker of the House removed yet once again. Last time the Republicans did that, Matt Gaetz did it, and he's now under investigation for sexual misconduct and supposedly going to get voted out of Congress, except they don't have enough of a majority if they voted him out. So Marjorie Taylor Greene is going to throw everything into chaos again, and nothing's going to happen. Boeing CEO Dave Calhoun will step down at year's end in a wake of serious mishaps. So he's going to get paid till the end of the year, and I'm guessing possibly more tires and windows and wings and doors are going to come off, and there are going to be more Boeing problems. If I were the CEO, I don't know if I'd hang out all the way to the end of the year. You see it getting any better for
I don't think I'll be fine.
All right.
You know, if I have to go somewhere, I hope it's on an Airbus, right? Not a Boeing, you know, like 777 or 737, but maybe an Airbus,
Yeah.
like 220 or something. You know?
Yeah.
Just
Right. Hey, I think it's prudent. Okay. ISIS has threatened new terrorist attack. This came in 11 hours ago from Scooter. ISIS has threatened new terrorist attacks in Russia, targeting Putin personally, according to Iranian media. According to the statement, this will be revenge for the tortures of members of the organization. And I brought that up because we showed some of the video, and I told you some of the things that we're not going to show them, of course, but some of the things the Russian interrogators did to those that were suspected of being part of it. And the translation is, beware, do not think that we do not have the ability to take revenge on the captured brothers from you in the attack on Friday. Torturing the captives of the Mujahideen from the sight of you and posting videos of them will make thousands of their brothers in the Khorasan suffer more. This time on the head that the future generations will remember it. So I guess we'll find out if ISIS is really involved. So far, we've had nothing come out of Paris.
right.
Chris, in 2016, in 2016, I was running for Congress, and
Right.
I did an ad where I was asking if people, I was fighting against the corporations, a heavily corporate funded Republican candidate, and I needed grassroots. I needed people power, and I was asking for $5, $10, or $25.
I am very humbly asking if you could chip in $5, $10, or even $25. I know that times could be tough, and they are tough under this.
Okay, this guy's. We showed how much a billion was, and we showed how much just one $100 bill is. This guy's asking for $5, $10, or $25. The optics from a political standpoint.
So this guy's what a multi-millionaire, right? So basically, here he is. I want to spend your money, not mine, right?
Right. Yeah. That's the whole key. Absolutely, the whole key is to not spend his money. Okay. I'm going to end with this, Chris. This is just one of those
knowledge of history.
This is just one of those things that thing that makes you go, and well, let's just play it.
The astronauts we spoke with Dr. Vyacheslav Zaitsev of the Academy of Science. He called our attention to two prehistoric relics which simply cannot be explained. The first is the skull of a bison which roamed the Siberian tundra 40,000 years ago. He was shot by a bullet. The proof is the hole.
A bison in Russia 40,000 years ago was shot by a bullet. Any thoughts?
No. 40,000 years ago was shot by a bullet?
Was shot by a bullet. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Maybe
Anyway, all
just maybe we've been lied to. Maybe we've been lied to about history, about how long history really is. I mean, you know, how would we really know? Oh, here's the
We wouldn't,
here's
right?
the right. That's why, yeah. This this comes from 112 Media out of Russia. I have to announce that. It's part of the deal. Again, wheeled him in a wheelchair because he's unconscious, and was unconscious through the entire court proceedings.
Yeah, they beat him. I mean, they lumped him up a little bit, you know.
Yeah, yeah. They got the answers they needed to get.
They and that's why I'm
They
saying
got
it's not ISIS.
the answers that it's not ISIS. Is that what you're saying?
You know, yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's not ISIS. Or else Putin would say, okay, yeah, we're going to target ISIS. But Putin didn't come out and say that. He's like, we're going to target Ukraine. You see?
Right. All right, man. As always, greatly appreciate you being here and
All right,
giving
thanks
us
for
your
having me on your
perspective
show. And to everyone in the audience.
on things.
Yeah, and everyone in the audience, have a good night. Hey, as always, Barry.
Thank
as
you,
always.
brother. We'll talk to you soon. No.
Will do. All right.
That's our buddy Chris. Always appreciated. And, you know, we give you our perspectives on things just to give you information, just to give you things to think about. And the one thing I'm becoming more and more, the one thing I'm leaning more and more to is that there's a whole lot of distractions going on. Not that they're not legitimate things, but so much is going on that just the law of averages of something potentially happening on a black swan event, which we've talked about on here before, something that might be unexpected, will be unexpected to the majority of people. People that watch this show know that China has infiltrated our infrastructures, and cyber attacks, especially on the water systems, are a not only a possibility but a probability, and other utilities, and just chaos and disruption. And when that happens, the more knowledge we have, the more prepared we are, the better off we're going to be, because nobody is going to be unfazed. The amount of, and I don't know if it's intentional, but if it's intentional, it's working. The amount of angst, the amount of anxiety that is in this country is palpable. You can see it in road rage. You can see it in school fights. You can see it. It's all over the internet. The anger suddenly disrupting, and people going off that might not otherwise go off. People feeling so helpless, feeling like they got to do something, that they do the wrong things. So that's why it's important to have an idea that something could happen. Just have it in your head, the mental part of it, that something could happen. The physical part of it. Make sure you got stuff to take care of yourself and whoever and whatever else you've got to take care of. Just set it aside. Use it and replace it. You know, if we go that long, where that's necessary, that you know, if we're in this limbo for 4 or 5 years, and you got to keep, you know, people are going to give up, and maybe that's what's wanted too, because they got to get rid of about 8.7 billion of us, and if that's going to happen, it's going to be starting soon. So, thank you for watching, and we don't do these shows to be downers, okay? We don't do these shows to bring gloom and doom, because the one part, the spiritual part, when I say be prepared mentally, physically, emotionally, for things that, you know, that just that are unplanned, for unplanned things. You know, you got health insurance, you got life insurance, you got car insurance. Make sure you got future insurance. Make sure you got a future, because you got some water, some food, you got the necessary medications if that's a concern, and you got a plan. You know, go somewhere amongst like-minded people. You know, stay in place and defend your castle. Become a rogue and go where the best place to be is. You know, all are going to be options if it ever comes to that. My hope is it never comes to that. But at the same time, I think because of my faith, because I do believe in God, I do believe in Christ Jesus. Again, the Jesus from the Gospels and the Jesus from the book of Revelation, not the Republican Jesus. That's a whole nother episode. But anyway, I think because of that, and because I spent so much time studying and talking about the Bible, and know that the Bible says these things are going to happen. The Bible says there are going to be wars and rumors of war. There are going to be natural disasters. There are going to be earthquakes. There are going to be pestilence. There are going to be pandemics. That's what it was called. And don't be afraid. Don't be afraid of any of these things, because they have to happen. So maybe it's because of all that, you know, I look at it as, you know, don't be afraid. Don't be paranoid. Be prepared. Be prepared mentally, spiritually, physically, and emotionally. Because chances are, if shit hits the fan, you're going to be going through experiences you've never gone through. Especially if you're under 30 years old and you've never lived without the internet. Or if you're under 60 years old and you never lived without, I don't know what. You know, I think people my age could probably, you know, maybe an outside toilet might be a change, but, you know, we didn't have everything that everybody has now. Will that turn out to be a blessing because of the knowledge of being able to do things that are done for others? Maybe. I don't know. I'm rambling. I apologize. I talked too long. Thank you all for being here. Always be kind. CNA Productions. Haven't seen you in a while. Peace, love, and sunshine. Nancy McMonarch. I know Pink Flamingo was in here. If I missed anybody, my apologies. But again, thank you all for watching. hit the subscribe, hit the like, hit the share. If you want to help us keep going, send a little something through the Cash App. It is always greatly appreciated. And if you want to email, americandoofus@gmail.com. Not sure when we're going to be back on. It depends on how things develop. Maybe tomorrow. It may be Friday. I don't know yet. We'll see how things go. But until then, again, I say thank you. Thank you for taking the time to be here, for watching this, and blessings upon you. I wish you nothing but peace. Love you all like chocolate chip cookies. I'm very serious about that. And it's a dark world. Try to be a light. All you got to do is be a positive. Just be a positive in a negative charged world. It is an incredibly negative charged world. And positive. It's tough sometimes, but be a light. It's a dark world. I love y'all. Thanks.